Welcome back, Heaven Sake family. We are back here with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to make a mastic mix for mushrooms. So, first we need is some dry hardwood pellets. I use the oak. It really doesn't matter what you use. I just prefer oak. And then I have some soy hull. I got soy hull pellets. You can use the already processed soy hulls. Those are fine, but I prefer these just because it holds a lot more nutrients. Those are already broke down, and it won't have the same effect. The reason being that you want the soy hull is because it can help with higher yields. Soy hull is high in nitrogen, and it can help feed the mycelium through the whole process. Using the master's mix, it will help with faster colonization and larger flushes. You can get bigger flushes out of this just because of the nutrients that the mycelium produces, and it strengthens that mycelium and to be able to colonize quicker, which will help produce bigger fruits and more yields. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to make I think I'm gonna make 8 bags today. That's 8 5-pound bags. We need my pressure cooker that I'm using today will be the this is the T-Fall pressure cooker. It's a 23 quart, so it can only fit 4 bags in at a time. So we're about to get started. Stick with me and I'm gonna show you how we do this. All right, so I'm gonna use I only have a scale. I don't have a kitchen scale. And on here it has ounces. So I weigh everything for 16 ounces. If anybody doesn't know, 16 ounces is 1 pound. So I'm going to weigh everything out that way. Oh, that's a little bit slower method, but it still works for now. And anybody at home can do this. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna turn off the scale. I'm gonna weigh the cup. Make sure it measures out to 0. And then I'm going to start measuring. Okay, you bag a little bit more. We need about 10 cones each. It's a 50-50 mix. There's 11. So you want to try to get you really want this to be really on point with weight, just so you don't mess up the mix, because if you get a little bit too much, a little bit too less, you can have less substrate than or more substrate than you need. And if you let that substrate sit like that overnight, what can happen is it can mold, because you got to think about it. This soy hull is food. These are actually soybeans that's ground up. So what happens when you leave food out that has been, it molds. All right. So I'm going to finish weighing everything out, and I'll catch you guys back in a second so we can show you what we do with the rest of the boxes. All right. So we got everything measured out, and what we're going to do now is we're going to mix it up dry, and then we're going to go ahead and grab our hot water. We want it to be as hot as possible so the pellets can soak in that moisture. I'll show you how to mix it real quick, and then we'll go from there. It's super simple. You just want to keep it all mixed up. You don't want to see too much more. You want to see a full amount spread across. You don't want to see more pellets like there is over here than there more soy hull than there is with wood pellets. All right, you gotta bring me even mix. See, it was a little woo. Now, like I said, I used 10 pounds of each. 10 pounds of hardwood pellets, 10 pounds of soy pellets. This will end up producing 8 5-pound substrate bags. We're going to fill up our water real quick, and then when I get this water filled up, I'll show you how to mix all that up. And I want to show you and talk to you about the consistency that it needs to be. All right, so I'll put on some new gloves. And what I like to do before I do put my hands in this is I like to spray down some alcohol. All right, I got that spray down with some alcohol. So we're going to start with 3 gallons of hot water. Um, we are going to slowly pour this in little by little. Get those pellets to swell up a little bit, break apart, and then add a little bit more as we go. We'll get in there and we'll mix it all together as it breaks down a little bit more. But you really want to get these pellets to break down. If not, there can cause contamination issues later on, after you pressure cook it. So let's slowly add some into here and let's mix it up. And we're gonna let some of these pellets soak that in. It's gonna the water is going to like soak down at the bottom. So all that at the bottom is gonna get soaked into. And then if you look, you can see the pellets swell up a little bit more. You see how they're starting to swell up like this? That's what we're looking for. It's gonna be easier to break down. Right now they're still too hard. Um, but I like to add the water a little by little, especially for fill capacity. What you want is you want to squeeze this, and you only want a few drops to come out. If you see that it's that it's coming down like a string, you have way too much water, and that can cause contaminations issues later on. So what I would do is add a little bit more hardwood pellets. Do not add any extra soy hull. The extra soy hull will be too much nutrients for the mycelium, and the mycelium could end up dying from that actually and causing contamination issues. Mushrooms are really finicky, so you got to do things just right to be able to get the perfect flow shadow. So we're going to continue to add more. And we're going to let all that sit in. Oh, we might end up coming in and adding more water over time, just so that just in case there isn't enough in there for our field capacity. If you see that's too dry, you're not getting those drops in. Yes, you want to add more water to it. And if you see there, like I said, if there's too much water, just add a little bit more um, hardwood pellets to it. We're gonna let this soak together real quick, and then when it gets to the capacity level that we're looking for, and what I'm meaning by this is when it breaks down, you can see right now that it's starting to come and look like sawdust. That's what we're looking for. You seeing how it's starting to break down? We don't want any hard, chunky pieces of the pellets in there. I can tell already that we're probably going to have to add a little bit more water, just because some of the top pellets are still really dry. And as we mixed all that together, it's going to end up being too dry to see. You can still hear the hard pellets in there. It's going to be too dry to work on this thing. But I am going to mix it together real quick, see how much water we're going to need, because you can tell basically off of the harder pellets that are still in there how much water to put in. Be careful while you do this because this is really, really hot. We did just pour hot water in there, so you can burn yourself. Yeah, I'm looking at the bottom and there's still a lot of harder pellets. You can see these dry pellets in there. You want to break all that down. See that middling? These are the things you want to catch before you put them in your bags. There's a lot of dry pellets right here. So that tells me we're going to need a little bit more. And I'm a test field capacity, and we do not have enough water in there to begin. So give me 1 second. I'm going to grab some more water. I'm going to fill this up again, and then we're going to mix it up and get it to fill capacity. All right. So we are going to mix this up a little bit more. I see a little bit of soy hull that needs broke down, but mostly it is looking good. So you see how it kind of looks like sand? Looks like wet sand. That's what we're looking for right there. This is the consistency we're looking for. You want everything broke down nice and grainy. You don't want to see any, if you see any hard chunks, you kind of want to break it down a little bit. I know it's kind of tedious, but you're going to be thankful you did it later on. So break it down. Any big pieces you see, get them nice and brokey. And go ahead and mix it thoroughly. If you see any white specks in here, you really want to mix it up. You really want to get that soy hull mixed in with the wood pellet. So you see I'm just kind of massaging it. I'm going in circles. I'm bringing it up and moving it over and doing the other layer. Just really trying to get those pellets broke down. Now there are machines that does everything for you like this, but they cost a lot of money. So I'm mixing it by hand. But and we're doing smaller batches at the moment. You know, we only have like, we're only doing like, I think at the time like 15 to 20 bags at a time right now, which is pretty good for a small grill. All right, so we pretty much got everything mixed up. Now, since we have everything mixed up, the last thing we want to do is check the fill capacity. This is the most crucial and important part of your grill. If it's too moist, like I said, it can cause contamination. If it's too dry, your blocks will dry out and it won't produce the mycelium the way it needs to produce. The mycelium will not have enough food to be able to support the mycelium growth, and this will lead to slower growth. All right. So now that it's all mixed, we're going to take a handful and we're going to squeeze and see what comes out. So there's a little bit of moisture coming out and there's a few drops right there. Check it out a little bit more. A few drops come out. That's what you want. For me, I could go in here and add just a little bit more water. But the past few grows that I've had, the bags were kind of wet, too wet for my like. And I'm going to stick with this for right now. So I'm going to get some bags out and we're going to start bagging and show you how we bag. All right, so we are back. We're about to fill these bags up. We want 5 pounds a piece. So what I'll do is I'll take my bag, put it up here, get some air in here, make it nice and squared. We're using 6 mil bags. These are the thick, strong ones. I don't recommend them. I don't like them that much. If you don't put much water in your pressure cooker, they will stick together. The bags will burst. So the next round, I am going to go with a little bit thinner bag, but not too much thinner than this. We still need something strong and heavy for our substrate. Also, these ones do not have injection ports. You can buy ones with injection ports, and that'll be for your grain bags. And I'll show you how I make my grain spawn later on. But for now, we're going to get back into this video, and I'll show you how we weigh everything out. So we'll come in with my grain spawn. Yes, I'm using a juice bottle to scoop everything up in. Because I don't have a scoop at the moment, which I am also going to get. But it shows you can do this with anything you have at your house. The only thing that you need is your hardwood pellets, which you can get at Walmart for $7. And then you can get some soil hulls at your local feed mill stores. It'll probably be in between $20 to $25 for that. So it's not too expensive and they'll last you a long time. So I'm going to get back into this. Try not to get the substrate on the sides of your bags because you do not want your bag's sides moist. So I'm going to keep scooping in. Open up that bag. I'm trying to get it in the center of the bag just so the substrate doesn't stick to the sides of the bags. And I know this looks like a lot, but it really isn't. It's only going to fill 8 bags. And I am making a mess on the floor. But that's okay, it happens sometimes. So, there is eyesight. I'm saying this is around 5. What I'm going to do now is we're going to turn on the scale. Yes, we are using the scale for this. I do not have a kitchen scale, like I said. So we're going to weigh this bag out, see how much it weighs real quick. And then we'll go from there. All right, so this is saying 5.6. We got a little bit too much. Yep, 5.6. So I'm gonna take some out and then I'll rescale in a second. All right, that's about 4.8. So I'm gonna put a little bit more in here. With these bags, you don't need them to be 100% 5 pounds, but I like to be pretty close. 4.9 will be fine for me. But I like to be pretty set on. 5.2. I'm gonna just leave it there. It's 5.2. You don't have to be exact on these bags. You just need to be exact on the spawn so you can have enough for the bags. So I'm gonna fill a couple more up real quick, and then I'll be back in a moment.
akan tell untuk
All right. So this substrate is really good for lion's mane, king oysters, chestnuts, Piopinos, blue oysters, pretty much any oyster mushrooms. Shiitake is not one of them that likes this substrate. With shiitake, you need either just hardwood pellet and a wheat bran, or what I do is I mix my soul whole with my wheat bran, and I'll do like a 20, a 30 mixture with that, and then the rest hardwood pellet. And later on, I'll show you how to make those. Um, Shiitake takes a little bit more to grow, a lot more time. That's why it's a lot more expensive. Um, it it needs multiple stages for it to actually colonize. So the first stage is the all white mycelium in it. When the block turns fully white. After the block turns fully white, you want to let that turn brown. Yeah, it's a good thing when it turns brown. Um, it needs more age time to be able to fully colonize, and then after that, it needs a cold period. It needs something to shock it to be able to mimic the cold and the season that it grows in. And then after that, you can go ahead and put it in regular fruit. It doesn't like really too much high humidity, but it it mimics king oysters humidity level and their their temperature that they need to be able to fruit. They're a little weird and they take longer to grow, but at the end, it's worth it. They're really good tasting mushrooms if you've ever eaten them before, and they're really healthy for you. I'm gonna measure this bag out. We got like this will be our sixth bag. 4.8 and a little bit more. Ooh. Odd two. That'll be good. All right. So we're gonna finish bagging everything up. We're gonna get everything to the weight, and then I'll show you guys how we fold them, bag them, and get them in a pressure cooker. So stay tuned. You're not gonna want to miss the end. All right, we're back. We got them all bagged up, and now I'm going to show you how to fold the bags. This is an important part before you put it in a pressure cooker so you don't get water or moisture inside the bags. First, you want to make sure that the inside and the tops of your bags are all dry. I'm going to head and I'm going to fold this in this way and fold that in that way. And we want to kind of bounce it just a little bit just to get it light even. There we go. And then I'm going to fold it down. And the way I'm folding it is, I want these creases to be flat. Right there. So the reason being is because when they pressure cook, the bags are going to squish in together. And I don't want the bags to get wet on the filter patch. I want that to stay dry because that can cause contamination later on. So I'm gonna fold the rest of these bags and I'm gonna put them up in the pressure cooker, and I'm gonna show you the pressure cooker setup before I get that going. All right, so we'll DAC. So what I DAC here is 3/4 of a gallon of water. I'm using 3/4 of a gallon because I'm running mine for 3 hours. I like to run my bags 3 hours because I can only fit 4 bags in here and they're really densely packed. So I want to make sure that it gets to the center of each block and make sure that they're sterilized throughout the bag. So I'm going to boil some aluminum foil first because I don't want the water sitting at the bottom where my bags are, because that can cause contamination issues later on, and it can cause the bags to be too wet and unsterilized properly. So we're going to fold up some aluminum foil. We're going to put it in our pressure cooker, and I'll show you what that looks like. I just said I'm going to fold these up with some balls. Put that in there. This one in there. So I typically like to put 5 balls in there, but that's up to you. You can put how many ever balls that you are on today. Like me, I like 5 because I can put them down evenly, and you'll see what I'm saying when we get inside. So I like 2 on each side and 1 in the middle like this. Just so whenever I put in that bottom plate, or sit directly on top. But before I do that, I'm gonna pour in my water. We're gonna have to fix the aluminum foil balls before you put these on there. Like that. And like I said, when it gets two on the side, 2 in the middle, 1 in the middle, and I like to put that directly up. See? You see how that's balanced? Now I'm gonna go grab some bags. I'm gonna put some in, and I'll be back in a second. All right, so I got 4 bags here. So when I put these bags in here, I want the filters to be up facing the top. The reason being is because I don't want the water getting inside my filters, and I do not want water getting inside my bags. So I put them in like this. Put another one in like this. Both of my filters are pointing up. I don't want the bags on top of the on the sides too much, because we don't want our bags bursting. I'm gonna put the lid on top, push that down, and then we're gonna put our last 2 in. One right here, and the other right next. Now the bags on top, you really don't have to worry about too much. The ones that you really want to worry about is the bags on the bottom, just because they're touching the sides more where the heat is coming from. All right. So we got that done and taken care of. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna spray some alcohol on the top of my lid. You don't have to do this, but I like everything to be clean and sterile. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Grab some paper towels. And I'm gonna wipe my lid off. I don't want any dust or residue coming off this lid. I want everything to be sterile, especially when I take this lid off of the pressure cooker. I don't want anything falling into there because everything will be clean and sterile. So I want to try to keep as sterile as possible. This is where you got to worry about keeping sterile. The way my pressure cooker whips is I set it on top like this. And then you watch itself into place like that. I'm going to turn it on full, on high heat. If you have a gas stove, turn it on high flame until it starts to get to a boil. You want this on high flame until you get to the 15 psi. So on mine will be the number 3 up here will be my 15 psi. So I'm going to show you what I do with this pressure cooker. I'm going to show you how long I keep this on, and I'm going to show you how I keep track of my pressure cooker without it fluctuating back and forth. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. All right, so you can see that it is steaming. So that means we can put down the first valve. Just click it over. And we're going to wait until that gets to the 1. When it gets to the 1, we'll click it down again. When it gets to the 2, we'll click it down again. When it gets to the 3, we'll click it down for the last time. We'll adjust the temperature on here so it holds at the 3 the rest of the time. And this is how you sterilize your grain spine and your substrate bags. I hope you guys like this video. We got another one that we're going to be posting soon too. Maybe today, I'm not too sure yet. But we got quite a few other videos that we're going to be starting to post. I'm going to be showing you how I set up my temperature in my grow tents. I'm going to be showing you how I clean the grow tents. I'm going to be showing you how I'm processing grow the mushrooms as well. So stay tuned. And remember, whether you're growing yourself, growing a family, or growing in your garden, we're all here to grow together. I hope you guys have a great day. See you on the next one.